mullet, grease the mullet, grease the mullet. Now rock the mullet, rock the mullet, rock the mullet, rock the mullet. Bananas of the world unite! Peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas. Nice job, guys. All right, that's all the time we have for today. It's time for first activity. Please get with your counselors, get with your groups, and have a great day.
But when Rick was born, he was born with cerebral palsy, and he was told by my parents, who were 19 and 20 years old at the time, back in 1962, to put your kid into a nursing home. He's not going to be anything but a vegetable. But they decided to bring him home and raise him just like everybody else. My little brother, one of my favorite stories about him is he thought everybody had a kid in a wheelchair in their house. Because we were so integrated, we did everything with Rick. If we went mountain climbing as a family, Dad threw Rick on his shoulders and we went up the mountain. Swimming, we threw Rick in the pool. Just go get him and make sure he's head up instead of bottom down. And that's the whole idea behind Camp for Kids. Mom's dream is getting Rick into public schools. In 1962, there was no handicapped kids in school that I would remember, but there always was in my family.
We moved up here as a family, and my wife at the time, Judy, she found out that there was no camps available for people who were physically challenged up here in Westfield. So she went out and started Camp for Kids at Western Mass Hospital. And I'll never forget the first day, because I went out and borrowed some tents from the military, and we set them up at Western Mass Hospital. And the very first day, Rob, Russ, Rick, and I cooked French toast. So that's how it all got started, and that was 40 years ago. And look at how it has grown. It's just unbelievable.
So the idea for this camp being formed is that there would be a camp where people could come together, whether they had disabilities or whether they didn't have disabilities. There really were no opportunities. If you had a disability, you could go to a camp for disabilities if they happen to take that kind of disability, but you couldn't have your brothers or sisters there or your friends there. So it's quite limited.
I look back at the numbers of kids that, hundreds of kids, and 3-year-olds and 21-year-olds and all of these kids that came in. And I look back at some of the counselors that came, and we had kids coming from Ireland, and we had kids from London who came and became counselors for a summer at this camp. And we talk about camp a lot together. And I've talked about camp to my 2 daughters their whole lives. And now my daughter Mary Kay is a group leader.
I first heard about camp from my mom. She actually used to work here when she was a college student. So when I was looking for something to do this summer, I thought about camp because I wanted something more meaningful, and I knew from her that it had such a great experience that she had growing up, and it was something that I looked into, and luckily they hired me, so here I am.
This is my first year. I'm already falling in love with the kids and falling in love with the place, so it's a really great place to work. I get to see all types of people, disabilities, non-disabilities, and it's just a great place to be.
Working here has assured me that I'm on the right career path for OT and for human services. I've learned so much from the kids. They teach me new things every day.
I think Camp for Kids is a really important place because it helps campers who might otherwise not be so encouraged to engage in certain activities and make long-standing friendships. It gives them an environment not only to be safe and do that, but a fun environment to do it in.
I'm not here and I see people with disabilities, I used to be kind of shy about it and I didn't know how to go about it, but now it's just they're normal people, so I like going up to them, I like helping them, because the kids they have so much fun here, and we just want them to keep having fun. And I work here because it's the best job ever.
And I saw a lot changing myself. When I first started coming, I didn't really like nature. I didn't like to go outside. I was very inside, where I wanted to be, air conditioning. And then when I started coming here, I started to see there's things out here. There's animals and all these awesome things I wanted to learn more about.
And I look at it now, how much has grown, how much we have a great spray park. We have a lot of great kids and new counselors. It's emotional because, these kids love it. Every day they see a smile on their faces, and when last day of summer, we get emotional too because they're leaving. We grow attached to these kids, and it's just an amazing place.
Yep, and the first day I walked onto this campus and this camp, it was just magic. It's magic. I get emotional talking about it. But it was the most beautiful, magical place, you know, and it changed my life forever. Funny enough, I currently am a clinical supervisor at the Carson Center, and I've been at the Carson Center for 15 years. And I mean, of course, not knowing how connected I would be to camp and how magical it was back then, it's like I can't get it out of my life now. I mean, it's been such a part of my life for so many years. And my girls here, Molly and McKenna, are going to be starting camp next week. They're going to be going next session, so they're very excited about that. It's been, you know, my inspiration, and I started my career when I was 11 years old, I say.
I mean, when Rick was born, they didn't want him in school. We'd go into restaurants, people would get up and walk away. They'd come in, they'd see us sitting there, they'd ask to be sitting someplace else. They didn't want him in school. They didn't want us in the Boston Marathon. But our message is, yes, you can. There isn't anything you can't do as long as you make up your mind to do it.
You feel like you're a part of something great. And it's something I wish anyone can have the experience to.
You get to make a real difference in people's lives.
It's a great place for kids to learn things. It's a great way to bond with nature.
Last year I had a bunch of fun. I got to help all these kids and I really connected with them.
None of us would be here today except for one mom's dream to have her children with and without disabilities be able to go to summer camp together. That's right. And we are so grateful to have you.
Oh boy, I can't believe it has been 40 years since our departed mother began a camp where all kids could be equal to each other, along with my middle brother Rob and myself. It is my pleasure to present a check for $10,000 so Camp for Kids can have another 40 years.